And we'll take a look at our map bans here, ladies and gentlemen, to see who will play on which map. Again, our last best of 3 actually of the tournament, because tomorrow it's a best of 5 with infinite overtime, which means you need to win 2 rounds in a row on overtime, 1 on attack, 1 on defense, to be able to take the whole map for yourself. Buddy, who will ban what? Now, we've seen both teams actually be pretty good on Clubhouse. We've seen good border play from both squads, and even Villa. That is a tough map even for both. And guess what? We're going to see Clubhouse, the first one picked out by Reciprocity. We've seen really interesting strategies that they ran specifically against EG. And I want to highlight this in the play days, in play day number 6 specifically in Pro League. Then we'll have Coastline picked up by G2. And guess what? Oregon, usually the map that big teams go to die on.
Yeah, to quote G2, I'm surprised that's left as the decider. Unless they expect to take this in a 2-0 straight away, it was them who said, you know, you don't want to play Oregon because it's the place where everything can happen and where often the lesser team has a good chance of winning.
Yeah, and I wonder, will we even get there? Yeah. We've seen strong performances from both teams, but our first 2 maps, anything can happen. Clubhouse, we've talked about it time and time again. So much has changed on that map. And what I'm particularly excited for is the fact that we have a lot of unexplored territory on Clubhouse map number 1. And if there's any team who's going to bring something new to the table and will actually make it work, I'm thinking it's G2.
Yeah, we saw G2 playing Clubhouse yesterday, and they definitely had really good control, even though they got pushed to the edge and eventually not really be able to secure things.
They always seem to be one of the teams that gets stronger the longer the tournament goes on.
Exactly.
They always make it through. I mean, we've seen them do a few 7-0s and 5-0s in the past, but they always get to the finals, at least so far, and they keep getting stronger and stronger the longer it goes, right?
Yeah, they definitely have that speed, that momentum, and they exploit it as best as possible. And not just that, it's the sustainability throughout all 3 maps. And I remember, actually, you said this last year on the analyst desk with Matt, and you said, in the grand final versus EG, either G2 win it out 3-0, or it's just not going to work out. And I think from what we saw in the storyline, the evolution throughout this whole year, that it's actually the reverse. It's G2 that are somehow able to put themselves in this long, extended mindset to survive throughout a whole series.
They needed to beat themselves after the 2 loss. Well, went out, yelled at each other a bit, and came back fully.
Yeah, well, that's it, I believe, for now. I know, you can cut the tension with a pretty cold knife, actually. You don't even need to heat it up. But before we head into that semi-final, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a quick video about these players and about the teams, but after that, it's on to the casters. Please enjoy G2 versus Team Reciprocity.
G2 is a really good team. They really know how to play together. I think regardless, going in tomorrow, it's definitely going to be a very intense matchup. But I have no doubt in my mind that we will prep for tonight and make sure that we can come out on top going into it.
So our games against Reciprocity, they're a really good individual team. All their players can show up and give us a go for the money. I think we're better players than our team, though, and I think we're a better team, so I think we're going to take them.
Who would have thought Reciprocity would finally defeat EG? It's been a while since that's happened. Well, there you go. They're going to go up against G2, and for them, they take them out. They pretty much won it. Still one more after it.
Thank you so much, everybody. And our final semifinal before we head towards tomorrow's grand finals is here. I know that word, final, used a lot, and for either G2 or Reciprocity, this will be the final match that they play of this entire event.
Yeah, it's a lot on the line, but I think after beating Evil Geniuses, Reciprocity are in a really good place. I mean, they look like the team, and a lot of people expected EG to win in that previous match, so it is a bit of a surprise. And because of that, we might see, I think, a revved up and ready to go Reciprocity going up against the previous World Titans.
I mean, I feel like this whole event has been expect the unexpected. Yeah. Space Station coming so close to knocking G2 out, Nora Rengo's dream run all the way up, coming as close as they did to making it to the finals, and now You've got Reciprocity hoping that that trend line continues, as these two teams have never played each other. This is going to be an exciting show match between these two. And I know that we use the term barn burners a lot, but I imagine that this matchup's probably going to be no exception.
Yeah, there's a North American team in there. It's definitely going to be a barn burner, that's for sure. That's where the turn of phrase comes from, at least in Siege. And I think Reciprocity is going to give us that. You know, a lot of people are predicting this is going to be G2's match to lose. I think that's absolutely fair to assume, but at the same time, I do think Reciprocity have an extra edge in this that people maybe weren't going to expect leading into a match like this.
Here's the thing for me when you look at G2, was yesterday's matchup against Space Station. They made a lot of mistakes. Now, yeah, SSG played their hearts out, and I think it was one of the best games that we've ever seen from Space Station as a roster. But if you look at G2, they committed too many errors. And if you have the two powerful players on this team, Jonas and Kanto Raketti, fail to show up, you've got people on Reciprocity like Laxing, like Skies, like Fox, even Retro, when required, will be able to dive all over you and completely smother you and take control of that game, just as they did against EG yesterday. So let's get things started with our very first map between these two teams on Clubhouse. Reciprocity starting on defense. They're going to go to the bans first. Clubhouse banning an attacker.
I mean, it's going to be at least one hard destructor, but it looks like G2 are going to be the ones forced to do just that. Very likely that we'll see a Hibana taken out here, though it's not a guarantee. With the way that G2 has been banning lately, there might be a little bit more flexibility, and yes, indeed, there will be. Ying taken down. So those two operators, Glaz and Ying, actually share a very similar position within a team that they can pretty much challenge anything, and yeah, there's not a lot the defenders can do to counter them directly. So getting rid of both of them is going to give us an interesting match. But what I think is even more interesting is the fact that we have all three hard destructors on Clubhouse. We've actually been seeing this a lot more often lately, and it's not crazy surprising. It's just going to make it a very interesting match and a much more fluid Clubhouse map overall, and that we're going to have a lot of open walls whenever the attackers deem necessary.
Now, you usually see Maverick occupying that role of one of the hard breachers being banned, maybe a Hibana as well. When impact tricking was as important as it was, you'd see a lot of Hibana bans so that you could counter the lone Thermite who existed at the time. But things have changed a little bit since then, in large part due to the site of gym and bedroom being changed around just a tiny bit. But nothing outside of the ordinary for Reciprocity. They're going to go downstairs first. They're going to go to Church and Arsenal room.
I mean, we've got two umps being brought on both the Castle and the Pulse. Castle, of course, much more relevant in the meta recently. I mean, he's been on an upturn for quite a while now, actually. About right around when Sophia was released. And then we've also got Pulse, one of the more prevalent information operators on the defense at this event. It's curious, I mean, we don't have Valkyrie being banned, but she's not going to be brought. Considering how high her ban rate is, you'd expect her to be played when she's not taken out, but that's not the case here. There's still plenty of information, it's just all going to be from default cams and Pulse. All things considered though, this is one of Pulse's best bomb sites, period, so lots of information. Reciprocity is going to be able to figure out where the attack's coming from no matter what.
5 seconds left.
Also, we know, you noted the dual UMPs that are used by Reciprocity. Well, that's a pretty powerful part of their portfolio.
Nice.
I can alliterate for a second there for us. Especially with the Pulse, you have Foxay that can run Pulse, you have Waxing who can run Pulse. In this case, it's going to be Mark. And then you've got Retro on the Castle. A lot of teams, especially in North America, bringing a Castle when defending CCTV Cache, Gym Master, and also Church, so the three main sites that we see outside of bar stock. Teams will use them a little differently. Sometimes your Castle barricades will go down in the lounge. We see that more often. The two sites above are defended. But since we have a Church defense, you're likely going to use it to try to slow the advance, possibly down blue, possibly even from dirt, if you're not going to contest it, possibly at the double doors, all the way at the bottom of main stairs. 45 seconds on in, and still G2 inside of the building. Drone work going on in Kanto on Maverick. He's going to be one of the three hard breachers that G2 are rolling out. Fabian's over on blue, and he doesn't spot somebody playing behind that mechanical unit at the bottom of the stairs, but he's in a position where if somebody rotates, it's going to be a good opportunity for Fabian to be able to get an early pick.
We just saw a successful double impact trick from Foxay in the kitchen by the drop down. 2 sets of Excaros for Pengu were wasted. The third opened the drop eventually, but it makes you wonder, was that really necessary? There is an excess of hard destruction, yes, but the option was available to put the Maverick there. I'm guessing Kanto Raketti just didn't want to risk his life. We have seen Mavericks die there before.
This could get really hairy with Kanto as he pokes holes in the church wall. Knowing that those 3 panels are reinforced, you can use some hard destruction on it like an exothermic charge. You can just poke holes and make everybody's life a living hell on the other side of it. Fabian is still dedicated to holding blue for the time being, and as the smoke Foxay rotates on over, he gets caught by Pengu, but not enough damage to really make a serious mark. Kanto Raketti using the last of his breaching charge here on the castle barricade inside of Moto, and Jonas will get everything started by taking out Mark. Pulse gone and information also falling with Kanto using those peak holes. Take one down and looking for more.
Maverick been such a powerful operator so far in this round. Jonas gonna take out Foxay as well, so Reciprocity are falling by the wayside at this moment. Goga going for a plant just inside of his breach by the black box. Typical plant spot. Retro's gonna get the first kill for his team, and Laxing will follow it up. Very impressive to manage to put 2 kills on the board, but it might all be for naught as we are in a post plant now. Goga finally finishes off Retro. It's all up to Laxing. He'll have to retake into the adjacent site, and very unlikely to happen. Challenging onto the kitchen drop down. He goes for some shots in the dark, but nothing's gonna come of it. Above him, Pengu will finally shut him down. G2 take the first round.
Unorthodox start to see the attackers take out Church. Not impossible, but improbable, given the way that we have seen that site defended, especially over the last day or so, and going back all the way to the group stages as well. Amazing how that castle defense that was set up by Reciprocity was almost completely thwarted, and the fact that there was a Maverick on the board. Now, a lot of people think about, you use a sledge, you can use the frag grenades on a Finca or on a Buck, if need be, or even on the sledge as well. You have an Ash, you have a Zofia that can possibly take out these castle barricades. The thing with Maverick is that he can open up a window that you are completely protected behind as an attacker. A lot of people really think about utilizing Maverick in that way. We don't actually see his usage on the go towards castles. He's not really a full castle counter, but
I think the main reason that doesn't happen very often is you leave yourself very exposed.
yes.
And a lot of players would rather just play it safe, open up the hard destruction or hard walls, the reinforcements, and try to make something happen in terms of, well, that whole hard destruction, anti-hard destruction game, because Maverick counters that so directly. I mean, you can't bandit trick him, you can't get him with the mute jammers. There's not really a whole lot of options to dealing with Maverick on a hard wall. So usually that becomes the focus, right? He gets pigeonholed as an operator, but certainly, yeah, castle barricades, they are very powerful when used correctly by the defenders, and if you can disable that power, then it becomes effectively a worthless pick. But on the castle, that is. But it's not necessarily a one-way street. Of course, opening up those holes leaves you very exposed depending on where it is. In this case, instead of Moto, great choice.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we might see an open castle barricade pretty early on here from Jonas.
Sledge is a good counter, especially with how much Reciprocity runs castle on this map in particular. Whereas the UMPs are just the utilization of those castle barricades. You find that whoever's got that role on Reciprocity tends to thrive. It's Mark in this position. You've seen Retro have it before. Has good control at the moment, at least for G2, but the momentum will be blunted. See, IQ of Fabian gets felled just outside of the strip hall by Laxing.
Nobody watching for a refrag there from G2, and it looked like Fabian was trying to clear solo in through strip. That's very dangerous. And who's gonna refrag though? Takes him a little while, but Laxing gets his second as he runs out from strip club itself and takes out somebody on the west balcony. Laxing having an excellent round. He is stranded right now and can very easily be isolated by the attacking team, but he's done his job no matter what. At this point, he's just looking to get some extra time taken away from G2. Pengu, who had gotten a kill earlier, finds himself on blinking HP. He's gonna go down really easily. Luckily for G2 though, they have plenty of time to go for a reset.
It was a very early engagement from Retro there, and Reciprocity takes those kinds of chances quite regularly, actually. They did it against EG, they do it against other teams in North America. It's the unpredictability that we see of both Laxing and Skies. You can have it from Foxay as well, and Retro in particular, doing it in that instance.
Trying to hunt down that roamer.
Inside a strip as well. So you can see there's a very dedicated effort from G2, but I think Jonas's hesitation right now is just killing too much time. Pengu takes out Laxing as the Jaeger will go for another run out and get shut down very swiftly. And Pengu's still low enough that even one tick of the toxic canister from Foxay will likely take Pengu out of action. You noted that there was plenty of time to go for a reset. And they haven't. Sometimes you gotta throw your drones a little bit gentler. Foxay pops up, goes through Jonas, who'd had a calamity of errors first and foremost with that drone. You also see the X-Karo stuck on the bathroom wall. The Legion of Skies engaging on Goga as now Goga takes a little bit more damage. Skies pops up, sees a second, and both of them fall to Skies. Reciprocity answers back, and a rare defensive victory on Gym Bedroom will tie our match up.
So, not able to win the standard bomb site downstairs, but they can win the off in Gym. That's quite, well, not necessarily surprising, just impressive to see from Reciprocity. A lot of that had to do with Laxing's roam by Strip Club, putting those kills on the board and then delaying for such a long time. I believe he was also the one to damage Pengu earlier in the round. His frags, again, coupled with his play, so very important. Foxay with the aggression here. He heard the rappel on that balcony, on the south balcony, and he just went for the push. He had the confidence. And again, this is one of those things that Reciprocity, I think most of their players, in fact, all of their players, the whole roster, has that confidence to take any fight that G2 will present them with, and it's given them an edge, at least in that last round.
It's a good note in the top right corner of your screen. Skies and Laxing have faced the G2 core twice before during Season 4 and 5 finals. Both were 0-2 defeats. I think the more memorable one was probably the Elevate Penta finals. It happened at Gamescom.
Yeah.
After a run that we saw from Elevate, surprising a lot of people, barely squeaking by to be the third at the time representative from North America, back before APAC competed in the Pro League finals. A lot of people had written off Elevate, very similarly to the way that a lot of teams have probably wrote off Reciprocity here. This has a very tough word to pronounce.
Reciprocity?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. It can be difficult at times. I honestly think, though, in this match, again, with the way that we saw the match play out, Reciprocity EG earlier, yesterday, in fact, I really don't think that counting Reciprocity out is fair going into this, especially not with how we've noticed recently that G2 are, yes, they are still world champions, but they're not as dominant as they had been in the past. I mean, they're not winning all of these matches so decisively that you're already calling them the, tournament victors before it's even finished. I think it's a wait and see moment here for G2 and Reciprocity both. We're gonna learn a lot about both of these teams in this match in particular.
I know that a lot of people want our predictions heading into a match, and I was asked a couple times on the way towards the stage, who do you think is going to win? I genuinely have no idea whatsoever.
I've been saying that since the group stages, to be honest. Like, there are a couple matches where, yeah, okay, there's an easy prediction, but we even saw a lot of those easy prediction matches go the opposite direction. So this has been, I think, so far, in terms of all of the matches, one of the most hotly contested tournaments we've ever had in Siege, if not the most.
Church is going to be a big focus now as to whether this is going to remain as close, as now Jonas is going to try to take out the smoke. Foxay getting away with an engagement that I don't know if he really should have been able to take.
Yeah.
But an excellent job there as the smoke pushed on up, almost found a kill on the Kanto Raketti. There could possibly be another body there, and there it is! Foxay finally manages to get him, traded off by Pengu above. Taking Pengu off of the hard breach, stuck him on the Zofia instead.
Look at all that soft destruction in the kitchen floor. I mean, Foxay peeked that hole knowing it was there. Retro's gonna take down Fabian, who's trying to push his way by Blue, and it's gonna be a refrag from Jonas coming in from Moto. Sky's right on top of him though in Arsenal. Goga makes it to default plant spot. This is huge. He doesn't have blue control though, and Retro's doing a lot of damage to his teammates, leaving just Goga alone versus 3. Seen clutches like these before, but the calls are just too precise, and Retro shuts him down. Reciprocity finally win basement defense.
A couple things went differently there. Number one, there were a lot of fights that were taken by Reciprocity that were completely unpredictable, but the rest of the team played so far back. Body stacked up in blue when you took out Fabi, and you realize that you can play all the way in blue at the back of Arsenal as well. You can play over by Dirt if need be. Because at that point, your push is going to come from where? It's going to come from Moto, it's going to come from main stairs. You can hold that down pretty effectively. You've got a Maestro sitting all the way, just waiting patiently as Skies does. There's nowhere to go at that point. G2 lost control just outside of the main push. Now, here's something pretty remarkable. We're heading to bar stock on the main floor. I heard somebody in the crowd say "what" out loud when I said that.
I wanted to say what.
Because that's your thought process here.
I saw it on the screen, and I was just like, what? No, why? Why is the question. And I think the answer has to do with the playstyle that Reciprocity is bringing today in this tournament. Remember Foxay? I think the play that Foxay had last round really perfectly encompasses how Reciprocity are handling this match. Foxay went for a peek from Arsenal on an unreinforced wall. He made the melee hole himself, and he shot Cantor-Ketty, the Maverick, who was trying to open up the church wall. Why did he do that? Because Cantor-Ketty was such an important role in the last time G2 attacked the bottom floor. Cantor-Ketty, you could say, won that round for G2 on Maverick. Foxay knew he needed to deny that Maverick opening the wall, and so he didn't care about the soft destruction above him. He didn't care how risky the play was. He was doing his job. He accomplished his job, and he did it ruthlessly. And I think that's how Reciprocity are playing. I think that this bomb site might work to their advantage because of that, but I don't know. I actually have no basis for that prediction. I'm just making an educated guess because this site does not get played.
The only real times that we've ever seen this played in North America was when this squad used to play under Cloud9 with Goddess on the roster. They pulled it out a couple times against a variety of their fellow countrymen to mixed results. There was, of course, that memorable last-second clutch. I think it was by Nyx falling off of the defuse. But that was so far back. I think Schlongi was on the team, so that's...
I don't remember.
This goes to show you how long ago that was. If we don't know what's going to happen in this actual matchup, we certainly don't know what is going to happen in this round.
I mean, it's an interesting setup. You could see that they're relying on jungle being impenetrable, and that's not going to work to their advantage. Cantor-Ketty on Maverick's going to get two. Huge through one Maverick hole. See, Reciprocity will get two of their own, but elsewhere, Fabian coming up from the basement, and he's just trying to poke a hole in this defense along with the players from G2 coming from the strip hallway. Reciprocity are going to be relying heavily on that top floor.
Mark went for a deep roam, come back to site at some point undetected, could be really helpful for the rest of his team, but both teams will be fighting even. Fabian's lost a little bit of HP, Mark's lost a little bit more. You've still got Retro and Skies in play as well. Then you got Kanto and Pengu. Overall, both teams are essentially at a stalemate. I don't think Retro's position has been given away as a whole whack of these dummies from Alibi just sit in front of Fabian. Sky's coming back down, trying not to alert the Zofia. There's Mark to take out Kanto. Where's Sky's gonna go? Oh no, he looks the wrong way, and Pengu gets an easy frag. Walks in, takes out the Evil Eye Cam, but Mark has sights on that diffuser. Control for G2 on the site, but where are they gonna go? Where's the smoke? His position given away as his arm exposed to throw out one of the toxic canisters, and Fabian is quick on the hunt. C4 will do nothing. Fabian losing the fight though to Retro, finished off. Trying to go for a second, but can't grab it as Pengu refrags, walks right back in. There's Mark, he's still got that diffuser. Which way, left or right, Mark? Make sure that you're correct on this one. Pengu coming around the corner, he sees him, he knows exactly where he is, but he fails on the pre-fire, still nails the last shots. It could have gone real bad for Pengu, but it doesn't. And G2 equalized on a very risky bar stock defense by Reciprocity that almost works out.
A couple bad calls there from Reciprocity is why they lost that round. The impatience from Skies pushing into the bathroom, followed up by Retro just avoiding the fight with the secondary player who he clearly saw. After that, we saw Mark drop down instead of deciding to play on the drop. Why did he commit to holding the diffuser on top of it? He's playing against a Sophia. He knows that because his teammates have called it out on the camera. He must have expected the lifeline to come out, but he did not play appropriately given that information. A little bit of some poor calls again from Reciprocity. G2, though, very nearly lost that one, as you stated. It could have easily been a Reciprocity round. It's not great for them. They'll be going to Jim now. first sight, they actually managed to successfully hold. And I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Cash seems to be ignored right now by Reciprocity. It's weird. You don't see that very often.
There's gonna be a reason for that.
I mean, the Reciprocity Reciprocity Cash defense is a very specific hold. The way that they do it is that they hold on to Garage firm, and they hold on to Cash firm. Again, and they rely on the mirror windows that look into servers from both of those locations.
5 seconds remaining.
But without having Mira, I guess the Reciprocity strat fall through. We have seen Reciprocity try that Cash defense strategy without a Mira before at this tournament when she's banned, but it hasn't worked out very well. So I guess the mentality is, hey, we have a strategy we like on Cash. It's not working. If Mira's banned, let's not force it and let's just go somewhere else.
This is interesting here. Look at that. Is that Castle Barricade preset by Retro? He's lying prone on the stairs. Prone on the red stairs, just waiting for somebody, possibly hit it.
You think
Maybe
it's
Jonas
prepped?
go over. It might be prepped. That's what I was asking.
I mean,
a question, Michael. I asked you a question.
I didn't see him hitting it, but it would make sense if it were, yeah. It's also possible he's expecting someone to open the window for him, who sometimes has been known to pressure from that window to cut off rotation on these stairs. It's a dangerous play.
You got a sledge in play every single time. One of those castle barricades will likely be hit and then just open wide up. But Jonas isn't even close to being over there.
Yeah, it's going to be actually a clear into Cash. Now, this is interesting. Reciprocity are holding construction, but they're not holding Cash. And because of that, Jonas can push on in. He knows there's a castle playing in here. It's been droned out clearly, and that's why the pre-fires are coming out. But he's not going to make the push until he has someone else to drone, mark, and give much newer information. So the patience here from Jonas is smart. He's just waiting for a teammate.
G2 just made a really interesting play. Kanto Raketti was over by the B-bomb site over up top, as was Pengu. Pengu hit one of those concussive blasts in. It hits Foxe inside a gym. Foxe peels off. And then both Kanto Raketti and Pengu drop. And I mean, it worked. There you go. Kanto Raketti picking off Mark the Shark, possibly waiting to see if someone's going to push out from Strip Hall. That's where Goga's playing right now. There's a mute on the board, so you might have to dispatch that pesky jammer in order to be able to get that exothermic charge off. Looking for it. There you go. Kanto Raketti is accurate as ever, but tussling with some pretty simple furniture as he can't get past the lawn chair as the exothermic charge goes off. A minute to play with for G2.
Reciprocity don't have a lot of control right now. We've got Retro on the main stairs, Sky's in office, and Foxe playing bathroom. Foxe is the sole anchor responsible for holding onto the site right now. And Retro's trying to hold the hallway to support him, but that's not a whole lot. Gas canisters start coming out from Foxe inside a bathroom, and Jonas might actually get an easy angle here. Laxing's gonna get an easy angle for himself, and it's gonna be Fabian who goes down elsewhere. Gogo going for a rush, but Foxe has repositioned wisely, and Gogo will be shut down. That's Diffuser in hand of Reciprocity. Pengu will refrag, but it's a back and forth as Retro with another shotgun takes the position that Foxe just left after he died. Pengu challenges though and gets another refrag. He's on top of things. Jonas is there to support, and from behind he's going to eliminate Laxing, who is trying to flank Pengu, allowing for the plant. What a play from Jonas. Excellent cover, and G2 take the round.
A motivated and confident Jonas is a scary, scary thing for any team. I feel like yesterday he was the one willing his team to victory over Space Station for much of the day. He was an absolute standout performer. I know that we like to joke around a lot about how it's Fabian carrying the weight all the time, who for the record doesn't have a kill yet. I just really wanted to say that, that's all. There's really no purpose outside of that.
You got it out, Parker.
I got it out of my system. But Jonas yesterday helping will that team to life through the latter half of the Space Station matchup. And he, for so long, inhabited that role on G2, when they were known as Penta, as just one of the best players in the world, so accurate. He's been overshadowed a little bit by Kanto. He saw a different role being used as well. But over the past 2 days, this is almost like vintage Jonas coming back. And if he can continue to play like this, not just in today's matchup, but if G2 prevails in tomorrow's matchup against Empire, then I think overall G2's chances soar in comparison to where they are right now.
Old school Jonas?
Old school Jonas.
So we have to call him Eunice now. If we're going old school.
That's true.
Yeah. He actually doesn't care.
10 seconds remaining.
He said that like, there's multiple different ways you could pronounce it between English and Finnish, and he's like, yeah, I'm Eunice.
When I asked him, he was like,
Whatever.
Yaw on us, is like what he said.
Yaw on us.
That's how he said it.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
It's Finnish, so it's difficult.
So, doesn't matter what you call him. He's always gone by Jonski in game. I did ask him. I said, you want to start calling you Jonski? He goes, no. All right, cool. So,
well, we're not going to do that.
But focusing on his role in particular, he's sat on this sledge every single time, knowing how much Reciprocity runs the castle. It's a good operator for Jonas to pick. Now, there's two things that I think, given the fact that we still see Reciprocity running that castle every single round. Number one, you understand that there's going to be a sledge on the board, you don't really care, and you just have ways around it. Or two, you don't have strats that don't involve a castle, and you can't really have that flexibility to swap off. The only reason why I say that is because you remember that Nip phase game? Every single time we said, why doesn't Nip run an IQ? Just run an IQ, just run an IQ. They never adapted, they never made that change. It ended up being a massive issue for them, and a big mistake. Could be the same from Reciprocity here, but that's just speculation.
I mean, there's two different theories, or two different thought processes, I suppose, that Reciprocity are trying to employ with the castle. It's either A, it's going to allow us to play more dynamically in the site, as we don't have to deal with this angle in particular, castle barricade. Or B, it'll, prompt us to somebody peeking the angle instead of us being completely exposed when they do. So, yeah, it's still useful. Even the castle barricades getting eliminated, they're gonna help somewhat. Jonas going to be opening up the kitchen floor, and good control over the back of Arsenal, but that is expected. And because of that, Reciprocity will just fall on back.
Nope, Buck being ran by G2, that would be, you've seen Jonas play the Buck an awful lot. He's on the sledge instead, does totally different things in a lot of different ways, and the application of Jonas' sledge can be different, but for the time being inside a kitchen, it's going to be all the home improvement that they need. Yeah, Kanto Raketti now also working on dirt, and for us, we can see there's somebody playing in there. It's laxing on that Valkyrie. Rare to see Reciprocity on a Valkyrie, as it tends to be their most banned operator, especially on defense.
I mean, it is their most, it's just hands down. They don't like that operator typically, and I think that Reciprocity needs more info. That's why they're bringing it. Early frag here from Jonas. Laxing going to take out Kanto Raketti as he attempts to push into the dirt tunnel. One inside of Arsenal gone for Reciprocity, but one in dirt tunnel for G2.
The Smokes will just try and isolate Fabian on the main stairs, anticipating somebody coming in through Moto, but there isn't. There's going to be one last logic bomb and one last smoke canister that gets tossed by the Dokkaebi, as G2 have full site control. And that smoke is beautiful, as G2 is just in right now, ready to lob a frag grenade all the way back. Catch, but he doesn't get it. Pengu takes down Skies, it's a trade. C4 goes out, caught by Pengu. Fabian falls. Pengu doing so much work right now. He's got every kill except for one for his team on this round. And Mark is currently being isolated himself from the site. There's so many marks for him to go in. Hard in the pot, a 4K by Pengu. What a play. On attack, G2 just takes Clubhouse 4-2. That's not how things are supposed to go on this site and on this map.
Oh, Pengu was actually inches away from not getting that kill. If we had seen a little bit more patience on Mark, just a second, he might have been able to catch the rotation, but timing is unfortunate there for Reciprocity. That aside, the overall hold was the real flaw for Reciprocity in that round, and Pengu very specifically was able to pick apart players as he entered the site. I mean, it was a drop from kitchen, so nobody shutting down that kitchen drop is, I think, one of the more specific problems with the hold from Reciprocity. I don't think we saw, no, we did see a smoke in the cross, so that's forgivable. People inside of church were also simultaneously being distracted on their site hold. However, here's the thing, the main highlight, I'm sure you guys are expecting it at this point, 4 attacking wins on Clubhouse. And now G2 gets to defend. I think that, yeah, there's gonna have to be some pretty miraculous play from Team Reciprocity to bring it back at this point.
Yeah, this is trouble.
Yeah.
This is trouble. It doesn't even necessarily matter which, whether we're in an attacker or defender side of meta. What matters more is the ebb and flow of a map. And on Clubhouse, you don't usually win more than 3 rounds. I was going to note that when we were in round number 5, or round number 6, the conclusion of round number 5, that hey, G2 have 3 wins on attack. How often do we see that on Clubhouse? Very infrequently.
And Pengu is the reason why, as you can see. And he actually has been refragging his teammates non-stop. throughout this match. He's always finding himself in a position where he's got somebody there to either drone for him or somebody right next to him who will take the bullet first, and Pangu's still alive, not missing his shots, and Reciprocity are really struggling to handle him. But that was on attack, and now on defense, I think it'll be a much different story. Cantor Ketty usually is the one to shine here on defense, especially on Clubhouse. He tends to play that alibi on the top floor, and he can have a real presence that is hard for Reciprocity or any team to deal with using those Prismas. It's actually one of the most effective uses of Prisma we've ever seen. It's not something only G2 has done, but still. Retro will take out Pangu, so all right, top frag dealt with. Already a good round for Reciprocity.
Oh.
I think he went unnoticed.
Jonas might still be seated in the bathroom without the drone spotting him.
Yeah, it's possible. This is why you have to check your corners. We've seen mistakes be made like this before. But if it actually causes problems, ooh, Cantor Ketty knowing where the tracers are coming from, even though he's not the one being shot at. Excellent game sense there to take out Skies on the balcony.
This will be a significant issue now too, especially if Jonas still hasn't been droned. Sitting inside a bathroom, he can hold down kitchen if there's anybody there. From our perspective, we can see no. It's not the case. There's no bodies. There's one that looks to be over by the freezer. It's now rotated out. It's the Hibana of Foxay. Double hard breach for Reciprocity. Means that if you lose one of them, it's not the end of the world. Still got an exothermic charge from Retro. Kanto's waiting. That window broken, actually, by the Hibana on Reciprocity's team. It will be their own undoing. As the two smokes from the Capitao go in, and Reciprocity will realize that it's time to act, and act quickly. Fabian falls to Laxing, and Reciprocity finds themselves even, despite the two earlier losses. Mark pushes in through blue. He's got control of the boxes at the back. There's another body in blue. Goga will find Laxing, but he's got so many bullets it doesn't matter. Kanto a monstrous round. The Foxay will drop. He has control over by B, and luckily enough, he's also got that diffuser, but the marks will be his undoing. Blow him up, Jonas says. It'll blow the round wide open. G2, what a triumphant round. 5-2, the scoreline, and that's what you gotta be doing on defense.
So it's going to be a tactical timeout here from Reciprocity, and this is the right moment, I think, to hit pause and try to evaluate the situation. They came actually dangerously close there, for G2's tastes at least, to bring it back towards Reciprocity's favor, maybe get us to a 3-4, but wasn't close enough. Why? No roam clearing happened. I mean, look, right here, there's the setup. It's the attempt at the roam clear. Skies was trying to come in from the balcony. Mark's droning him in. They're going to clear out top floor, starting with Jim. Makes sense, right? But Cantor Ketty gets that frag onto Skies, and there's not enough muscle for Reciprocity to clear the roamers anymore and still have time to hit the site. They just don't have the power. Because of that, they committed to a surgical strike into blue. The Capitao bolts actually really helped. That was possible for a moment. But because the drop downs were open, the rotations available to the roamers from G2, it was a pretty easy return to site. Much more importantly though, Goga repelling the attackers in church as the only anchor in that round. He played a huge role. If Goga had not been playing in church, it would have been an easy take for Reciprocity, likely a plant inside of church itself, and then a hole in the post.
So a site that we haven't actually seen get played today will finally emerge, and that's CCTV and Cash. Odd to say that and not with bar stock, but I mean, hey, Reciprocity made a gamble on the bar stock on that first floor. It almost worked.
Yeah, I think the bar stock was interesting. I'm pretty sure that Reciprocity just wants to rethink their cash hold before they start bringing it again, which makes sense. I mean, sometimes it takes time to plan out those strategies. It's also, yeah, a pretty well-known hold at this point, and one that G2 had to have made counter strats for. Not bringing it did end up, I want to say it ended up costing Reciprocity, but I think they probably would have lost that one anyway, again, considering how predictable the strategy is at this point. Now,
5 seconds remaining.
5-2. G2 going to their second most loved site here on this map.
Attacker's objective is to locate
The setup is going to be pretty standard. About as standard as it gets, to be honest.
A lot of teams have struggled against G2, especially North American teams, with how aggressively G2 confronts this, or attacks this, and holds this garage, attacks the attackers in the actual garage itself.
Yeah.
We've been very critical of the clash play from G2. That's what the operator that Jonas is on right now. He's at the doorway of the garage, just trying to hold off. Possibly anybody gets pushed on it. There's another body from G2 that's playing upstairs on the rafters as well. There's some covering fire. It looked to be Kanto playing there on the Jaeger, and it's a good place for a Jaeger to be, especially with that Carbine doing as much damage as it does.
Yeah, the Carbine going to be a good pair with the Clash, as you can get some explosive power out onto anyone Jonas will see. Yeah, we've seen G2 bring Clash before, but we haven't really seen them have amazing rounds with her.
Located a bomb.
Just hasn't seemed to fit their playstyle. I think that on this site specifically, it is a comfort, well, not a comfort pick. It's a specific role pick. You want to hold on to Garage? Well, Clash can really assist you in that. Foxy's going to eat a lot of damage as he comes into the building, and firebolts on Jonas. He'll actually go down, doesn't manage to rotate in time. Well done to Mark the Shark. And those bolts and doing so much area damage.
I don't know if we've ever seen the Clash be successful for G2.
Yeah, I don't remember a time we have.
No, we've been very critical of it, but Kanto's always effective no matter what you put him on. He's going to shut down Foxy in the garage. Take out one of the two hard breachers, leaving that exothermic charge in the hands of Retro to possibly be able to pull something off. Pengu inside of CCTV right now, looking to try to take an engagement around the bomb site. He's got a deployable shield there as well, but can't find the targets that he's looking for. Snap back to Kanto Ricchetti with Mark, essentially daring him into a fight. It's not a challenge that Mark wants to take, knowing that Kanto is going to have a significant advantage. A drone and a projectile or a tossable get thrown up, and the ADS will eat it. Kanto blinded for just a second. He's gonna have two sights on him as now Retro is on in. The smoke will move Kanto down. He's completely covered, but look at that Mark, and he'll land it. Goodbye, Kanto Ricchetti. Even though Mark the Shark gets spotted, he still ends up winning the fight, and Laxing on the entry catches Fabian off guard. Now this is Reciprocity in the driver's seat, a 4v2 with only 30 seconds to go. But never count out Pengu and never count out a Maestro, no matter who it is. Pengu will try to even the score just a tiny bit. Down goes Mark, now sitting and waiting. That CCTV wall has still not been opened up yet. There's nothing really to worry about. 20 seconds to go, finally the hard breach is gonna go down. Pengu creeping up, sees the buck of skies, looks the wrong way, and now Goga will have to be tagged in to assist. The Reciprocity is spread out. They're coming through the garage. They've got bodies on either side of CCTV. One spreads in, and Goga missing the shots, but Pengu doesn't. Takes out Skies. Goga's there as well. And the clutch factor from G2 as it's on 0-0-0, and he falls off the planned match point for G2. Never, ever count out G2, even when they're down as many numbers as they were. Like we might be putting Clubhouse in the books pretty fast.
It certainly seems that way. Match point, as you can see, will be what Reciprocity has to face. That last round seemed like it was going their way, going so well. I mean, we saw Laxing solo clear out the roamer ways from the site on the west side of the building. After that was established, the pulse gone. It was a pretty easy push for Laxing to come into lounge and then later tried to push into the site. The main problem is that Reciprocity got control of Garage. They knew they had a control of Garage, and then what did Reciprocity do? They tried way too late to try and open up the server wall and push in through the server window. You need to use Garage if you have it in hand, and that push probably could have been advantageous. I'm guessing the reason they didn't commit to that is they were afraid of the potential angle that could have been played from inside of server. Because the server wall wasn't open, it's easy to pick off players pushing up the garage stairs if the rotation hole is there as a defender. But there was no time to risk just stacking everyone into a server push, not having garage presence. Laxing did manage to get there eventually, but it was, I think, a little bit too late because there were no established angles from Team Reciprocity, none whatsoever, to cut off the rotations of the last two G2 players. I mean, they had complete freedom of movement and were able to take any fight they pleased. And G2 wins the fights when they are the ones choosing them.
Cover me, reloading!
So we're going to see yet another garage hold, which has worked very well for G2. Even though they did lose the garage, I think with, 40 seconds to go in that previous round, there's still enough bodies to cover the garage, and then it's too little too late for Reciprocity to go for the vault through the window, and then he's run out of time. The fact that it took so long for that exothermic charge to go off, it was puzzling. G2 has won 4 rounds after being in a man disadvantage situation, aka they battled back. The story of thriving under adversity, or while facing adversity. This is something that we saw a lot in Paris, actually, was that when EG and G2 were battling, it didn't matter if EG had a masterful lead in terms of man count. You could never count G2 out, even in a 1v3 or a 2v4. It's something that they do so well, and when G2's coordinating like that, they almost never lose. It's almost like they're playing perfect Siege.
Well, rotation cut off here on the main stairs. Good job to Reciprocity to open up that window, knowing that now the roamers from G2 are going to have to go on a long rotate in order to get back to site. Laxing's going to hold that angle, I'm sure, for a long time. Cantor Ketty, trying to play in the garage. We've seen him do this a lot, and Reciprocity were ready for it. They have downed him. The problem is, Jonas is nearby, and Cantor Ketty could very easily be picked up. In fact, I think he will. Reciprocity doesn't seem to be aware they've downed Kanto, and he will get back into the fight. But look at this, only one rotation hole into Jim, and that's full control for Reciprocity. C4 comes out from Pengu, and he will take down Foxay, but that also means that that C4 can't be used to deny the plant. Bad skeleton key from Skies, and he's actually gonna get the follow-up as Pengu peeks into it. Or calculation from the Bandit.
I'm actually astonished with how much control we see from Reciprocity right now. And if G2 don't hurry to get back, well, they're in trouble. There's Kanto to take out Mark. Still a lead in favor of G2, but this could go real bad. Fire blowing away, but Jonas looks the wrong way. One body drops. Fabian takes out Retro with that C4. As the 2 remaining members of Reciprocity will have to be as good in the clutch. Skies walks right in, finds a freebie on Jonas as Jonas is unable to get the disabled needed. Goga is down and Kanto realizes, hey, let's bring him back. It's a 3v1 now. Fabian can finally frag out, takes out Skies, and 1 kill away as there's Fabian. Handshakes all around, ladies and gentlemen, in the books. Clubhouse, G2 taken 7-2, and it's a masterful performance as we look towards map number 2 on Coastline to see. This is going to be a quick affair for the defending and reigning world champions of G2.
That was a very one-sided match. We saw a lot of the same play from G2. Cantor Ketty playing in Garage, for example, in that last round. He's done that a lot, and he even got punished for it and down, but the punish wasn't full. Reciprocity never got that kill, so when both Jonas and Cantor Ketty came back from the roam, Jonas after picking up Kanto, Kanto after being picked up, there was so much power from G2, and because the anchors were able to delay for so much time, Reciprocity were in a tricky spot. I'm curious as to why Reciprocity didn't go for the plant a little bit sooner in the round. Again, there was only 1 rotation available into Jim, and that is easily cut off. There was no C4 down below. They could establish that quite easily because the drop down was open. I don't know. There were options aplenty there for Reciprocity, but I think they got a little ahead of themselves and a little distracted. Laxing also played on the main window to the main stairs for pretty much the entire round. Because there was somebody playing there, G2 never used that rotation. The roamers came back to site through other means, and that effect could have been accomplished by Reciprocity just by opening the window and spraying a few times and then leaving. So Laxing could have been a really important operator and player in that round had he joined the push. Why wasn't he? Because he came up from main stairs, and the loudest part of this map in terms of, footsteps and giving away your position, main stairs. I mean, it's metal. You're making a ton of noise. You saw even as Laxing was about to be dispatched, it was the Valkyrie who turned around. You can hear IQ coming up the stairs, no matter how quiet you're trying to be.
So much for speculation, at least on Clubhouse, about these teams never having played each other. Reciprocity would be able to just run all over G2. I don't know if it was Reciprocity being scared, but where was that potent roaming force of Laxing? Where was that Skies play that we wanted to see, that we saw against DG? Where was the same thing from Foxay and from Retro? There's so many rounds where it honestly seemed like Reciprocity was harmless.
I mean, there was a noticeable forced adaptation from Reciprocity. They were trying their best not to bring the same strats over and over again, ones they've brought in the past. And I appreciate that actually a lot from Reciprocity. I think it's a smart move. But it also seems to have disrupted their playstyle. at least somewhat. The players on Reciprocity were a little bit less lethal than we're used to seeing them be. G2, just standard G2 here, nothing to really be surprised about, to be honest. And yes, it is impressive, but that's what they do.
So let's look at Coastline. Map number 2. Depends on whether Reciprocity or G2 is going to be starting on attack or defense, but speculation on sides aside. We just saw Coastline take out EG on this map. As I said yesterday, you're facing elimination. You're evil geniuses, you're playing in Montreal and you're playing on Coastline. I've seen this one before. But Reciprocity, quite strong. G2 doesn't have a bad map pool, so when you look at Coastline, you know they're gonna come out guns a-blazing. You know it's a map that they play quite a bit. They're happy with it, obviously. I would say that, honestly, Reciprocity is good on, or are good rather, on all 3 of these maps. But who do you give the edge to here? Just at face value. We saw the way that Reciprocity played yesterday. We know the way that G2 plays here on this map. Who do you give the edge to?
I can't going into it. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's any way to really give the edge to either of these teams. The way the Reciprocity plays is going to be much more accessible here on Coast, but at the same time, I didn't see Reciprocity even trying to be themselves in the previous map. That's the thing that really worries me. I want to give a slight edge just based on playstyle to Reciprocity, but that's if they play their game, if they actually bring out what we're used to seeing from them, and it would be a very sly one in my mind.
You think Clubhouse was gonna? Did you think Clubhouse was gonna be as one-sided as it was going into it?
No, I didn't. Actually, if you look back to G2's previous match here, they played Clubhouse against SSG in their first map, and Space Station managed to take that one. I mean, it was a really, really close match, but it was an 8-7 win for Space Station. And no, I figured that Reciprocity maybe could show us some heroics just like that as well here.
I mean, you never count them out. I think people counted Reciprocity out in the group stages a little bit, very similar to the way that a lot of people were sleeping on Nora Rengo, as people were sleeping on Space Station. Counted them out against evil geniuses, and they persevered. Now they go up against G2. They're trailing. G2's only dropped 1 map so far this entire tournament. It was to Space Station yesterday. They're looking to obviously keep that number at 1.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Coastline, though. And we'll get map number 2 underway between Reciprocity and G2 Esports. Will the good people here in Montreal be sent home early? Or will they have to wait it out and sweat it out over a 3rd map alongside the North American and the European teams? We'll find out in just an hour or so, as the first ban is going to be on a Ying from G2, so exactly the same as Clubhouse.
Yeah.
A Glaz ban coming out from Reciprocity, exactly the same as Clubhouse. Echo ban from Reciprocity, I don't think I need to say it again. Exactly the same as Clubhouse.
But he did anyway.
I did it anyway.
Is it going to be a mirror, though? That's the question. We'll have a full mirror. Nope, it's going to be Maestro. So G2 with the upsets. Unfortunate. We're going to have slightly different operators played here, but on a map like Coastline, I can imagine the mirror being very useful for both teams, and G2 might want to use that early on, as they will be defending first. Double bar looks like going to be the first site for G2, and again, I think looking at this right now, Reciprocity have a good chance at bringing us to a map number 3 just based on the map and the playstyle that, you know, they bring to the table, really adhering well to this map. We're going to find out.
Never count them out. They are very aggressive. You can roam quite a lot on Coastline. It's not really easy for a lot of teams to attack. It's definitely not easy for teams to defend. The real telling side is going to be if G2 can rack up 2 or 3 early defensive victories.
Attackers need to
If you're looking at a 2-0 scoreline for G2 on defense, or a 3-0 scoreline on defense, I think it's pretty much a given at that point, especially with the fact that Reciprocity is trailing. That might be too insurmountable given the way that Coastline plays. Something to keep in mind. It's not a given, but it's something just to have in your mind for when you see the first 2-3 rounds here.
It's worth noting that both of these teams have a really good record on this map, and neither of them really ban it ever. I don't think they really, in recent history, have. typically both G2 and Reciprocity win here, actually. So there's going to have to be some kind of upset no matter what if we're talking about map record. I think also that G2, their roam style on defense plays well on this map. The fluid nature of their roam, in that you're going to spread yourself pretty far out, but you'll always be able to react quickly and support each other as a defensive team for G2. It's going to work well on Coastline, is mostly because it's essential. If you don't have a presence off site, then it can be really hard to hold a lot of these bomb sites. Vertical play is easily accessible to any attacking team if you give it away.
A bomb has been located.
It's funny that we're seeing a double bar defense without a Mira as well. A lot of teams like to bring her sticker inside a Sunrise, at least one of those Mira windows. You're able to look all the way in towards the bomb site in blue. You can look in towards the office. Maybe even have a second black mirror upstairs as you want to hold hookah.
I mean,
it actually doesn't look like there's any hookah presence at all from G2 right now. In fact, it doesn't look like outside of Kanto Raketti roaming over by the top of main stairs. G2's bodies are down below, and Jonas has taken a lot of damage. There goes Goga as well to Retro, so Kanto will be recalled at some point as he almost narrowly misses every shot on Skies. Walks away, but man, he and Jonas are so low on HP.
Retro is taking a little bit of damage as well, but not nearly as much as you can see. Oh, it's going to be an easy dispatch of those two defenders if the reset never comes in, though you can expect it to happen, and in fact it will happen right here. It's going to be a little bit of time wasted, but it's defending, so it doesn't really matter. Rotation's still available for Fabian. He's got 2 impacts. He can use it at any moment to push out of the blue bar should he choose. Mark the Shark. Looks like he's going to take out Kanto Raketti, and that must have been an impressive shot.
I would imagine that was over by the blue bar where the reset was taking place.
Yeah, actually it looks like it was.
And you got Kanto, who had just been reset, as we noted. Jonas has not been reset, so he's still sitting at next to no HP. But a full HP Pengu is here playing the doorway instead of the foyer. Flash is going to go by, and Pengu crosses over. He sees Mark. Mark has a big advantage, misses the shots. And Pengu's able to get back as Fabian now under fire. Retro is down inside a kitchen, but Mark doing excellent work covering. He finally catches what little was left of Pengu. And what he'd softened up before, down goes Fabian, and the attackers have everything in their advantage. Reciprocity coming to life, and a better round than we saw them being able to muster on most of Clubhouse will be concluded with a win. Don't even need that diffuser down from Mark the Shark. That's what? Four members of Reciprocity end up surviving through the end of that round. That was domination.
A lot of gunfights there for Reciprocity, and a very good roam clear. They didn't actually get all of their kills on the roam clear, though. What was most noticeable about the way the Reciprocity played is they pushed G2 back to the site. They forced the engagements to be in, well, the attacking team's favor. Following that, G2 had to fall back because they're smart and they're not going to take ooh, that was a very impressive shot from Mark. They're not going to take unnecessary fights. So once G2 fell back to site, and they did it so quickly, they lost so much control, they were exposed to the push inside from Reciprocity that it was a pretty easy hammer and anvil strategy, one we've seen numerous times, coming in from the side entrance and directly from in the building as well, coming from the east side to the west. That's a really nice attack from Reciprocity. I like that they were so assertive with taking control, especially toward the main lobby, not wasting any time at all. Speaking of not wasting, Mira will no longer be wasted potential here on G2, as they are going to bring her, going to a kitchen defense.
Like I said, I was a little surprised, actually, that we didn't see a Mira being used there. I don't know how much of Reciprocity's playstyle could have directly been countered. I mean, you could have been able to hold blue a lot easier than with the actual physical presence that G2 had.
I would say some of the mirror windows could have been used to maybe hold on to kitchen. We've seen that done before when defending double bar. You can put a mirror window toward quick kitchen and just like a delayed roam there, castle barricade on the kitchen window. Once you start feeling pressure, fall back, sure, but there's an option to try and slow down Reciprocity. The thing is that G2 probably didn't expect the way that Reciprocity took in that last round, so they didn't set up a counter. I think moving forward, G2 will probably have some kind of defensive strategy for that site.
Oh.
Mangu stands up. It looks like in Retro will shut him down. Nice shot there to the Ash. Good position to be playing. Good angle. Right timing.
Well read. And once again, this is just the way Reciprocity plays on most maps. It was absent from Clubhouse, and it's really could just come down to G2 being able to hold off on Reciprocity and be able to isolate them one by one by one. Many teams have noted that if you give G2 the opportunity to line everything up, they're going to make you pay for it. In a lot of those rounds, it just seems like Reciprocity didn't have the ability or either the knowledge to be able to get unpredictable. They didn't know where to rotate. They were too disconnected. Not exactly the case so far on Coastline, at least just at the start of this round, as Pengu was playing a little loose on his own. He gets hunted down by Retro, taken out of action. Now you've got Reciprocity upstairs holding quite a bit of control of that second floor. There's no presence from G2 outside of that first floor. You take a look, Fabian, Goga, Jonas, and Kanto are all either inside of both bomb sites or playing just outside of it. The person who is the farthest away from the site is Kanto, inside of Sunrise Bar. That's it.
Yeah, they're doing their best to hold on to site presence, but again, that vertical play, as we discussed, is going to be really hard to deal with. And as a C4 from Goga is missed, that's a very potent weapon that could have been something to shut down those attackers from above. Could have been from Goga, could have been from Jonas, either or. A C4 missed. Kanto Raketti still holding on Sunrise because he knows it's going to cut off the main hallway, allowing his teammates more safety. Goga goes for a run out, and he will get the kill. Not exactly the smartest play, but sometimes that's what's necessary to bring yourself out of a hole. And oh wow, Foxe exposing himself, and an impact and a run out from Fabian's gonna net the kill. Mark gets a Capital Firebolt onto Goga, so it's a bit of a refrag here. Goga playing by delivery, and now that's an accessible plant spot.
And the ejected mirror means that coverage all the way down to service is going to be so tough. That delivery entrance is essentially free for Team Reciprocity. If they can get a smoke off, then yeah, the ejected mirror window can be helpful for a possible nitro cell getting hucked on over, but there's none left, as Jonas had taken the bulletproof camera. Kanto will need to be tagged on in. A bevy of bullets will go out, and Fabian claims Retro as the other body goes in. Mark the Shark's second kill goes for the plant. Kanto gets one. There's Jonas. And G2 will take round two. As this Reciprocity's push into the site decides to falter a little bit and then completely fall to pieces. As the smoke clears, it's an easy finish off there for the Mute. And an answer from G2 after a pretty dominant start to this map by Reciprocity.
Reciprocity accomplished so very little with that vertical play. They also gave it away as soon as they had it. One of the things they can do, having control of top floor, is cut off rotation. That never happened. There was also a pretty sparse drone economy from Reciprocity. They didn't use them perfectly. A lot of droning themselves in as well. Mark managed to get that firebolt, which was a beautiful play. But yeah, overall,
10 seconds to go.
You shouldn't be droning for yourself. Definitely more information gathering is necessary on Reciprocity's side. More focus on the actual objective as well. You'll notice that Mark came in through delivery. He went for the plant. He covered himself. He even got a kill on the entry. He droned himself in. But where's everybody else? Where's the supporting staff? They're not doing anything from above. Answer, they're trying to flank from other angles. They're trying to come in for multiple tiered push. And also, G2, their aggression, managing to bring the man count so much back into their favor. Reciprocity needs to expect this, and they need to position people next to each other, allowing for, again, those refrags.
5 seconds.
G2 is 16-1 on Coastline in the last year. The only loss came to Liquid at DreamHack Winter. Wow.
Jeez. I mean, jeez.
I feel like it's a very genuine response from you. Just, oh my.
That's pretty ridiculous there. G2 seem to really like this map. And we've actually, we've seen them always play well on it. That's true. Reciprocity also tend to play well on it, though I guess not as well.
Also impressive that with not having the greatest season, G2 haven't dropped Coastline so far.
That's true, yeah. They've been having a bit of a mix and mash in terms of their Pro League season. So, impressive that they've managed to retain that record, certainly. They're going to be holding on to the kitchen here. It's Not a defense of the kitchen, of course, as they can't do that. They just were successful there, but it's a roam in the kitchen, and a pretty dedicated one.
There's a number of poke holes that Kanto Ricchetti has in the wall. Look towards service. He got droned out by Retro.
This is actually exactly what I said G2 should do the last time they went to double bar. The only thing is they're not using the mirror windows there. They're holding on the kitchen though. They've got an extended east roam. So yeah, I like this adjustment from G2. It's exactly what would have been needed to counter Reciprocity. However, Reciprocity have also adjusted, and it's, well, so far not working out for them. Foxe goes down to Jonas. In the main lobby, bad information, bad droning from Reciprocity, and somewhat ironic that it's the Jackal to die to one of those runners.
Kanto's still waiting to see if Retro is going to engage him through that kitchen window, but there's been a lot of hesitation from Reciprocity as they now move on over. Back to the double bars where Reciprocity were successful before. Pengu on a roam of his own. Actually playing in right by the foyer to Sunrise. Will claim another kill for G2, shutting down the only set of smokes that aren't in that Capital bolt. So now you have Skies down 2. Not good for Reciprocity. There really hasn't been all that much. Reciprocity have struggled to get into the building, and they're going to continue to struggle as well. They have no map control. Mark the Shark falls to Pengu, as Pengu will find his second kill. Fabian inside of office looking for a kill of his own. He'll shred through Laxing, and Reciprocity have not been able to put a single thing together on this round. Only 40 seconds to go as the rest of G2 will just circle it on the site, realize that you don't need to play for kills at this point. The remaining member of Reciprocity is Retro. He's under 50 HP. Might be able to get an impactless frag on Jonas, which is impressive enough, but there's Kanto Ricchetti. And finally, double bars will go in favor of G2 Esports.
That was a pretty one-sided round there for G2. The change to push people into kitchen on the defense, have that roaming presence, a good calculation. It did trip up Reciprocity. They cleared the top floor, but doing that accomplished nothing. G2 were relying entirely on a horizontal roam. It worked out fantastically. And once Reciprocity started coming downstairs, they did so no force, none whatsoever. No one's droning for each other. The information is non-existent. It looked like Reciprocity were just trying to walk into a building and take fights like they don't have drones. And it makes little to no sense, especially on such a shallow map as Coastline.
The thing that's most telling about Team Reciprocity is the way that Mark the Shark has played on this matchup. Now, if you look based solely on numbers, Mark's performance in this entire tournament has not been the strongest. Some of the weakest stats, but that's because of the way that Reciprocity uses him. In a pure supporting role, Mark is so infrequently in positions to get kills. On Coastline, they tend to use him in a way that he can possibly cover. He goes for the plant. He's not really on hard breach because Reciprocity doesn't often run a lot of hard breach. Okay, but he's the only person on this team that seems to find himself in encounters that he can win. All of the rest of them, every single remaining member of Reciprocity, have struggled. Retro there is 3 kills. Okay, you're keeping pace with Mark a little bit, but one of those kills just came impactlessly in that previous round.
Yeah, Mark is a die-hard support player, and he's had some performances where he's gotten a lot of frags. The Ninjas in Pajamas match they had in the group stages is a good example in my opinion, and on Consulate especially, where Mark had some excellent
Bomb located by attackers.
Excellent 4Ks and no, not 4Ks, 3Ks and 2Ks, really putting some kills together and supporting his team. But overall, yeah, not the sort of player you're going to expect to actually be getting frags reliably. And that's why you put him on Capital, who can frag but isn't a fragging operator.
You make it work when you need to, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. That's kind of the nature of it. I mean, G2 has supporting operators, right? That are supporting players, like Goga, for example, but he doesn't only support. He also lands those shots when it's necessary. I think most players at this level of play at some point just consider themselves flex, and it's hard to really define their roles, but that's a story for another time. Reciprocity going to be clearing into Aquarium. They're trying to go for a basic strategy, I think, to try and focus things up and actually have a, concise site take.
The way you take hookah depends on your team's setup. You can go in through VIP and then clamp down that way. You're usually going to want to have some bodies down below. Might have a buck or some kind of soft destruction. Obviously, there's no buck on the lineup for Reciprocity, though. The soft destruction is going to come in the form of Retro, who you ride on board with, as well as Laxing, but he's on Repel. He's still got those 2 explosive blasts from the lifeline that can be used to open up the wall. It appears that there will be a little bit of that done. And Goga just wide peeks Foxay. Beautifully well done, and his stim pistol gave Goga a little bit of an extra fighting chance, but there was no return fire from Foxay that Goga had to worry about. It's not really a loss at all for G2 in any real capacity there. You've also got Fabian downstairs as Smoke, who's just watching to see about the main stairs. Goga could possibly have another body lined up. Pengu falls to Laxing on Repel, so Reciprocity just trying to hold everybody down. What a shot from Goga! My. Laxing on that window just gets picked apart. Smoke's going down, Goga looking for another. He'll be able to get himself back to full HP, or at least close to it if he wants to. Kanto comes on in, Retro takes out Fabian. Goga losing a little bit of HP in the process, using his final stim pistol. As Jonas has been downed, it's all up to Goga and Kanto. Twitch drone goes out from Skies as flank watch as he watches all the way in towards A. And prone on the floor is Goga. Will find another, looking for a 4th. Goga, my. The man is unshakable playing inside of pink. This is what, 3 rounds in a row for G2?
3 rounds indeed, Parker, and what a round from Goga, specifically the 4K. I mean, he could have gotten that 5K, to be honest, if Kanto Raketti hadn't have come to support him. It was a pretty easy hold there for Goga by himself at the minibar. Surprised that there was not more done by Reciprocity to deal with this player. But at that point, it looked like they had just lost so much of the utility they would have used on a push like that. For example, Zofia had no opportunity to get the lifelines off. Why? Dead in the first couple seconds of the attack onto site. So good round from Goga and a stalwart defense of that specific bar inside of Billiards. Now, G2 to look unshakable so far throughout this match. And Reciprocity have, in total, gotten 3 rounds over these last 2 maps. It's not over yet, but G2 are in great form.
I mean, you take 3 rounds on Coastline, you need 1 more, and then you can walk away being pretty damn happy about what actually happened for your team. It's more just the utter domination from G2. Now that round in particular was so close. It literally just came down to Goga going absolutely Hulk mode. A 4K, he was unshakable, as I believe I said. Everybody fed right into him. But I mean, you had tools at your disposal to possibly force him out. I believe there was an asphyxiating bolt that went down on the other side of that wall, which started to tick away at some of Goga's HP after he'd been picked back up by his own stim pistol. But you had a Zofia on the board. He's playing in a position where you could have done a lot of damage, and you don't get it. Oh well. So round number 5. Kanto Raketti going for the early run out, and will not find anything there. All right, pretty standard. It's gonna be a kitchen defense for G2 Esports. In fact, that play that Kanto did where you punch a couple holes in the barricade is pretty commonplace. It's very popular among the other levels of play that we see in Rainbow Six.
Prepping a window or a door.
Yep.
And then you can run out from it if you play it right. Of course, it's 3 melees to break a barricade, but you can 2 melee it and shoot the extra parts to make it accessible if you want to crouch out. There's only 1 anchor on site right now. This is Goga alone. He's playing Smoke, so the perfect operator to hold on to this, but still alone. We've got Pengu in Sunrise Bar, and that's the next closest defensive operator. So this is not going to be an easy hold if Reciprocity get wind of this. The thing is, again, the information gathering for Reciprocity has been so bad. Foxay is going to take down Jonas, but refrag from Kanto Raketti, and Reciprocity are currently trying to fight the 4 roamers instead of hitting the 1 anchor.
A little bit different from what we saw in the last kitchen defense from G2, where they had everybody that was within the site except for 1. That was Kanto, who's playing in Sunrise Bar. Now it's Pengu who's actually in Sunrise Bar, but he's watching the door, and he could possibly go for a run out of his own. He could be very nimble, though. He's a 3 armor, but he does have an ACOG. He might actually get spotted. There might be a slight alert of his position if he waits out there a little bit too long. Puzzlingly, Fabian took all that damage that you see within the first 30 seconds of the round. Possibility of a reset, but I mean, why bother at this point? He's just going to play down inside of security, and with those Legion mines, he's able to hold down that position so well. He's gonna get, no, not spotted at all. Laxing at the main doorway with Mark guiding him on in. As once again, this hesitation from Reciprocity to get into the site. Kanto will peek around that main desk, an opportunity for somebody to possibly jump on him, and there's Retro, an easy kill. No trade-off for G2 in that situation.
Goga's holding on to Kitchen pretty firm, using that smoke. Gas canisters go out as we're on the last 30 seconds here, and well, man advantage here for Reciprocity, but the positions for G2 are fantastic, and they've already started to bring people back to site. Fabian's on the long roam, and he's gonna come up behind Retro, who does not expect it in all likelihood. Yes, indeed, a free kill for Fabian. The two anchors from G2 are holding on quite easily. Mark tries to isolate delivery, and he's gonna push on in, but it's a shotgun from Goga. At any moment, that could be his demise, and yes, indeed, it will. It just takes a while. It's gonna be down to Skies and one other, but it doesn't matter at this point. There's no time. G2 wasting so much time from the roamers, coming back to anchor when the time is right, and it was a no-hope attack for Reciprocity.
I'm actually a little disappointed at the last 2 rounds that we have seen out of Reciprocity.
Just a
3
little,
rounds
Parker?
almost.
I mean...
Well, I mean, Reciprocity is not playing up to their full potential. Yes, a lot of credit needs to go to G2 and how they are continuously rotating.
Yeah.
They are starving Reciprocity from information with mute plays, with vigil plays, by killing all the drones. But it just seems like Reciprocity are almost scared to get in the building. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a full total lack of information. I don't know if it's lack of confidence. I don't know if it's worry. I don't know if it's pressure getting to them. I don't think it would be pressure because 4 players on this team have played in tougher circumstances.
Yeah. I personally think it's the information. I'm looking at the top down constantly, Parker, and I'm just not seeing any drones being used from Reciprocity. That's the way it seems. A lot of solo droning as well. And again, that last round, we saw Mark by himself trying to push in through delivery. No support, no cover, no one else to pick up the diffuser should he die, or get a refrag should he die. It just is it's a puzzling way to attack on Coastline, and it's unfortunate. We have seen some rounds where Reciprocity tried them to stack up all of their players on one lane and push all together. For example, that 4K from Goga. How did that happen? Everyone on Reciprocity pushed from Aquarium. Well, all but one. 4 people did. And, well, actually, no. All 5, yeah, because Cantor Kitty got that 1 kill in Billiards. Anyway, everybody from Reciprocity pushed from Aquarium, but they all did it 1 by 1. Nobody droning each other in. So little information. They were expecting default positions, and that's why Reciprocity even came close in that round, but it didn't work out.
So at least for Reciprocity, this hesitation and reluctance to hop into the building and be able to take map control will be over in just a matter of moments, as this is their final round on attack. Both Kanto and Skies will engage, and Kanto will fall as Skies re-engages, gets the kill inside a kitchen. That gives Retro an opportunity to walk in and Fox A inside a bathroom. Hey, Reciprocity's actually got some semblance of map control here. It's not too far for Retro. His next encounter is going to be Goga playing on the Cool Vibe stairs. Time to reset Skies, which is perfect for Reciprocity, as you see Retro and Fox A have taken a little bit of damage as well. There goes Pengu, as Retro will find one. That was Pengu playing down inside of B. It's a double bars setup, so the transition for Reciprocity. Now they've got control of the main lobby. Now they've got control of the bathroom. They've got control of the kitchen. They need to get into the site.
Some great droning in this round in particular. Mark allowed for Retro to get those 2 kills. Retro's going for more, and meanwhile the side entrance push, oh no, bad positioning on the smokes. Laxing will take out Goga in exchange, but it's overall a loss here for Reciprocity as they attempt to push into Sunrise Bar. Retro coming up from behind still inside a kitchen. He could be a huge playmake in this round, and Eunice will be pushing into Blue Bar. So it's still full control for G2 despite only having 2 players on the board. For by South Office, it's going to be Skies to shut down Jonas as he gets a little too aggressive and gets punished because of it. Fabian, though, who's already gotten 1, will get another. That's 2 for him. He's going to need to ace this round. He gets the 3K. He's going for 4. He knows there's somebody in South Office, and Retro has just been languishing inside of Kitchen for the whole round. Laxing going to be pushing over to Garden and trying to establish a new angle onto Legion. He's just waiting inside the Blue Bar. Low HP on the Legion, and he's waiting it out. using his gadget to give him information on a push into Sunrise. This is the perfect position for Fabian. He doesn't need to move at all. He knows no one's coming from South Office because he heard the rotation and the Zofia lifeline elsewhere. 16 seconds left. Fabian just waiting. It's a rotation over to default plant spot. Fabian has the information being called out from his teammates. Valkyrie Cam, but Retro gets him on the cross. In kitchen, the whole round, Retro with 3 kills from this position.
Curious decision making there from Fabian, not to bother to look towards the right. You know you've got 2 bodies left on Reciprocity. Where are they going to be? Well, you've got 1 on a ping. You know that he's going to try to plan in the default spot inside a Sunrise bar. Where could the other one possibly be? Maybe up top? Maybe in kitchen? Likely watching the plant. And where's the best avenue to do that? It's going to be either at the bottom of Cool Vibe Stairs, it's going to be over by Blue Bar, which Fabian can know that there was nobody over there because he was just there himself. Why don't you look towards kitchen? Just a small oversight. But it's an oversight that ended up costing them the round. And now G2 emerges with a 4-2 lead heading in towards their attack. All maps have the distinction of being defender-sided. Yes, the Coastline is one of the few maps where the attackers can still rack up victories, especially if they play really well coordinated. It's a good time for a timeout, I think, though you can possibly have saved it, and if Reciprocity mounts a comeback, G2 will be without the ability to take a timeout. But you might as well take one now and try to put this one away.
Certainly the right time, I think. You could prepare yourself for an attack and set up some expectations for the site that you're going to be playing on based on previous experience against this team, though I'm sure G2 probably had that going into things, or going into this match from the get-go. Retro was such a hero in that last round, and that's the thing. Reciprocity need those hero plays. They need to have players step up, present themselves as able to win gunfights, able to shut down the opponent, and able to lock out rotations like Retro did. I mean, all he did was, again, he played inside a kitchen, he got the initial frag into kitchen, and then he just cut off rotation between the sites, allowed for a push into default. That was the plan from Reciprocity from the get-go. The problem was, at the start, Reciprocity didn't lay down a smoke properly by Sunrise Bar, allowing for the rotation into default. Either that or Reciprocity was leaving that angle open so Laxing could get the refrag, because if you get the refrag on the player in Sunrise Bar, then there's nobody playing Sunrise Bar, and your rotation being cut off is even more powerful, even more potent for Reciprocity. That's in the past now. The Reciprocity managed to make it work. Now they have to make defense work, and they're going to start on Penthouse, which is very interesting.
Hasn't been played yet. The only site that hasn't been played in this particular matchup.
Yep. It's an odd site. I mean, at the beginning of Coastline, I think it was hailed as the best site on the map, but it took a real swift turn.
This is before operator bans.
Yep.
That was way back. I mean, Coastline,
way back.
Coastline is now an old map.
It's true,
by most standards, right?
Yeah.
Also, Mira is unbanned, though, and Mira is usually a reason why Penthouse Theater tends to be more defendable than not. But there's no Mira on the board. So you have an opportunity for Reciprocity to use Mira, and they won't.
Interesting stats here. So you can see G2 are very good at refragging their teammates, especially on defense. One thing we've talked about a lot. When you got a G2 roamer, it's often there will be another G2 roamer not 5 seconds away. It allows for them to get so many more refrags. Reciprocity, again, the lack of refrags is also telling of the lack of teamwork, the lack of synergy, the lack of coordination, whatever you want to call it. They haven't been working together as a team. They've been having a lot of rounds where people just do individual things like, for some reason, standing in the middle of the B-bomb site, giving away picks to Pengu on the main east window.
And that's your smoke that you just lost.
Yeah, it's about as bad as it gets.
And right where Kanto Raketti stands right now inside a Hall of Fame, that's a perfect place to just be able to smoke off. G2's in sight. Mark the Shark cuts down Kanto Raketti, but Jonas and Fabian get 2 of their own. Say goodbye to Goga. Oh no, diffuser down inside of A. Fabian losing a lot of HP in the process, but takes out Mark the Shark. And where, oh where, is Laxing? Coming on up from luggage, but he's got 3 bodies. Plant going down on the couch, and Laxing peeks around the corner, sees one, takes out Fabian, but Pengu pops up. That's easy work for G2. A very quick one. And they find themselves up 5-2 now. Pengu falls off the diffuser. And there you go, an easy finish.
Tactically, that was an amazing round from G2, if we're being honest. I mean, the Habana rushed into Projector with the diffuser in hand, could have potentially just gone for a plant, was likely expecting some counter plant from below or something along those lines. That's probably the call that we actually had G2 make when they used their tactical timeout. Hey, they're not gonna expect us to just run site and try to go for frags, as that's what they know we expect out of them. And of course, Reciprocity coming out on the wrong end of that. Expectations not right where they should be, and G2 taking full advantage. Just, yeah, rushing site.
And I mean, the craziest part too was that, look at, we just got to see that for a second there, was Mark took out Goga. There was full control of Master or Penthouse. You could have just gotten the plant down, Goga, you just plant.
Like I said,
that's what you do, that's what you do best.
Tactically not a smart round from G2.
But they had so much room to breathe that they could just throw some of it away, I guess, you know?
I mean, why not?
Chances, why not?
They are winning most of their gunfights right now, right? Why should they be playing smart, tactical, and slow? Especially on a map like Coastline. I mean,
5 seconds left.
They've got such a good record here, too. I think a big part of it is how dynamic they are with their play. They're able to play that slow, methodical game if necessary, or just rush the building, I suppose.
16-1 is a hell of a record.
Yeah, I actually,
for a map.
When I first saw that, I honestly thought it was round count. I was like, but that doesn't make any sense. There's no way they're not dropping rounds. But yeah, map count, it's very impressive.
Losing it to Liquid, that was the DreamHack Winter matchup right after Gohan and Palu had stepped onto that roster, and they looked so frightening, as they still do. But at the time, there was a lot of big question marks about that new Liquid roster with two very capable players being added to it. So not a bad squad to lose that map to, all things considered. And it's also a very good map for Liquid. Pengu's gonna toss in one grenade, doesn't cook it at all, tosses in the other.
I think he's just trying to clear out utility with those grenades. That's gotta be the reasoning behind them. It's a pretty specific take here right now for G2 on the south office.
Very fast, once again, G2 realizing, hey, we can try to just rush into the site and be able to push Reciprocity back. The only person that's really watching it all is Skies, and Goga's right next to him, going for a plant. Is there any actual cover? Yes, Kanto Raketti, smoke goes out, Goga taking damage, but he'll be able to get this one off. He pushes on in, down goes Skies. G2 realize they have complete control. Fabian adds to it, things falling to pieces. Foxay trying to battle back, he takes out Jonas, but still, this is grave circumstances. Down goes Foxay, and Laxing again, a little bit too far off. He's got 4 from G2. Sees one, can he engage with Fabian? Yes, he can, but he's gonna get doubled up on. The world champs are match point and 1 round away from giving themselves a chance to defend that crown in the grand finals.
Well, that was another really fast round from G2, and their attacks look even more vicious than their defense. The way that the round played out was pretty surgical as well, not bothering with the many roamers that we saw Reciprocity setting up elsewhere, and instead just deciding to, hey, we're gonna take South Office. After we take South Office, we're gonna hit Blue Bar, and that's a done deal. It was a rush from G2, using their utility very wisely, and hey, it worked out. Fabian was the one to come in from elsewhere and do a lot of damage, but Fabian alone. And it was post-plant that he started to really do work as the Dokkaebi. Also, this is another big deal. Dokkaebi is one of those operators where if you put her detached from the rest of the team, yes, okay, you lose a lot when she dies, and yes, you don't have the smoke grenades. But she can always influence the take using her ability. So even if she's not assisting your push directly with her smokes, she's going to assist it with the phone calls. And yeah, that was a really good attack from G2, and not a whole lot of hold on the blue bar for Reciprocity. You could see that Reciprocity are just going to keep going from site to site, but unlike what we typically see in this defensive meta, they're going from site to site because they're losing them, and they're not sure how to hold, trying to find something that will work. And now, this could potentially be Reciprocity's very last chance.
We knew going into this that a good team would not make it out of this matchup alive. Reciprocity, certainly not out, but they're certainly down for the time being, and this is a really big hole to dig yourself out of. But you gotta take chances, and Foxay will do so. Fabian is just waiting for him to rush right back in. You're gonna be able to get him. He's completely exposed outside. Pressure him. He's disappeared. There you go. You are detected. But no, somehow Foxay might actually be able to get this kill. Bakoga's there, and there's going to be 3 bodies going after Foxay. He's like a trapped animal. He finally gets down. There you go. But an impact grenade also got tossed out, trying to see if you could maybe take some damage. Onto G2's side of things. Fabian can still get reset. And a good gamble from Reciprocity.
Foxay just took the definition of roaming to a whole new level. That was an interesting play, and yeah, sure, one that you might see from time to time in casual, but not often at the highest level of play. It actually worked out very well for Foxay, though. He wasted a good amount of time, and he took down Cantor Teddy.
Through 2 rounds, G2 has wisely read into Reciprocity's defense that Laxing is too far removed. It's one of the main issues with a deep solo roam or a late flank is that if things go south very quickly, you are usually not in a position where you can get back to help at all. So if your gambit that, hey, I can get an early pick, I can waste lots of time, doesn't work out, and the attackers just rush into the site as G2 has wisely done, you're often completely impactless in the round. You don't really have much of a usage here. It's been the issue with Laxing overall over these 2 rounds in particular. It's been unfortunate because his fragging potential could have been really helpful for Reciprocity.
Laxing will be on that detached solo roam as you discussed. It's going to be down in the blue bar. He's got the C4 and he can't be useful. He doesn't commit to that hole, and because of that, Jonas will not be caught off guard. What a call. That had to have been a teammate. Otherwise, excellent game sense from Jonas to allow for that to happen. And wow, man advantage now in favor of G2, and it's going to get even worse.
Pegu takes one down as Mark is there. Phone calls ringing, 1 body left. G2, there you have it. They'll repeat back to the grand finals. They have a chance to raise that hammer one more time. They won it. And Reciprocity's triumphant run comes to an end. It's going to be an all-EU final as the Russian squad of Team Empire will take on the reigning, defending world champions of G2 Esports.